up, man?
Hey, stranger.
Yeah. Sorry
Hey,
about that.
hey, it's okay. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing okay. Little bit on tilt, but other than that,
On
doing.
tilt. Why?
Oh God, it's just been a rough day.
Gaming wise?
Gaming wise, yeah. Everything else wise is all as well.
Well, good. That's actually like the perfect segue I could ever ask for, as far as talking about what you want to work on and what this session's gonna be about.
Okay. Well, so last time we worked together was a while ago. Since then, we did a few sessions with Machine, and one of those was a ZvP where we kind of focused on that Roach style that you know and love so well. And so we've been using that a lot, especially now that Protoss is using a lot of really nasty timings to punish Muta, and even more so now that Stargate plays are getting popular.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about, specifically, at least to start with, and then if we have more time later, maybe we can go over some other stuff, but
Sure.
specifically, I wanted to talk about the mid-late game transitions after that first Hydra Roach push that doesn't kill the Protoss player, and so you know he's going to go Colossus, and you know you have to get your Corruptors out, but it's not always that easy. So that's what I wanted to focus on.
Okay. Well, you're actually receiving information from a couple different coaches, so make sure to act as a filter, not necessarily as a sponge. But if Machine's advocating to do a Hydra Roach push, then I guess what I would want to extrapolate from that language is caution, in the sense that my philosophy and approach with Zerg, I feel the strongest way to play that race is like a reactionary / advantageous style, which means if the Protoss is doing something stupid or greedy, then absolutely commit to a push, because larva and injection allow you to diversify your resources towards that beneficially. However, I think the stronger style is not to count on your opponent being greedy or doing a mistake, but rather mass up those Hydra and Roaches and absorb their attack should they decide to go that route. But otherwise, you would happily make your way to 4 bases, maxed out, Hydra Roaches, 10 Corruptors, and 30 larvae sitting at each hatchery. Happily. And the reason I say that is because I feel like a lot of the strength of the Protoss, conversely, in this matchup, is not in their attacking, but in their absorbing of the Zerg. Force fields obviously benefit the defender, since a sentry is already in position to do the cast, as opposed to having to move into position to do the cast. And then they have, it's very much so an army composition race, in the sense that Zealots need to be in front, Stalkers need to be in back, Immortals need to be in range of things that they have a good matchup against, like Roaches, and then Colossus need to be not touched. All that is easier done on the defense than it is on the offense.
Right.
Additionally, if you're closer to the Zerg hatcheries, the strength of the Zerg is in their recreation of their units, is in the reproduction. So it just goes without saying then that if you're closer to those 20 larvae that are morphing into Hydras and Roaches, and they get closer to that fight faster, then that's emphasizing the strength of the Zerg. So there's definitely styles, there's definitely timings that the Zerg can go for, like the people are calling it like the giraffe migration that you saw from Hydra, which is very strong. You've seen Machine do very well in tournaments with similar pushes, but I think stylistically you should be looking to be more passive, but well informed. So the second you see his Robos are converting to Colossus, at that time or before that, you needed to have made 10 to 12, maybe 15 Corruptors if you really want to go crazy. If you don't have Corruptors, then you damn well better have something like Drop or something. But presumably, if you don't have those things Colossus are never getting touched, and you're dead.
Okay.
And that's like the philosophical overarching point that I want all Zergs to at least experiment with and try.
All right. I know it's like, especially when you're talking about mid-game and later mid-game, it gets more complicated, because first you have to get there, and there's really even no guarantee that we'll get that far in these games today. But it's a real sticking point for me, and I know a lot of guys struggle at that point, because maybe I should say when that push doesn't. Maybe that was a bad thing to say because I'm not always just recklessly pushing into the Protoss and saying, okay, well that didn't work. You know, but there are times when you feel stalemated. You know, it's like, okay, well I know if I attack, it's not going to go so well.
Yeah.
He's not pushing. He's just macroing up, and he knows. Protoss knows that at 200 supply, he's stronger than me in general. Yep. So it's a tricky part of the game, and I'm not really sure how to approach it. And
well, here's what I worked on with Idra in Artosis and Kriya, and you know, by nature of the fact that people pay me for this information is the only reason I'm talking about it, because honestly, this is really hard when Zergs go this way, but you're absolutely right. At 200, the Protoss has the stronger army. The Zerg should be playing to re-engage immediately after that first conflict. So if you do a good enough job upgrading and your army composition is strong enough, you should have picked off all, if not most, of their Colossus. You should have absorbed and destroyed most of their sentries / their mana. So in that first battle, the damage from the Colossus, the strength of the force fields, will most likely equate in a Protoss victory. However, the Zerg rebuilds faster than the Protoss. So if you've banked like 4,000, 5,000 minerals, and you're doing a good job that as units are dying in that battle, you are spamming Roach, Hydra, whatever it is you need to make, and you're getting them to the point of conflict ASAP, the Protoss won't have Colossus, and he won't have force field / sentries. And people are alarmed by how fast Stalkers and Zealots and maybe a couple of Mortals and maybe a couple Colossus die when they don't have sentries and they don't have 5 or 6 Colossus. If you wait, though, if you just remake Ball Up and they remake and Ball Up, they're going to get the best of those exchanges each time.
Right.
And eventually you're going to dry up, or they're going to pick off an expansion, they'll expand somewhere, etc., and then that's how Zergs lose. And then they get to the forum and they go, well, this is stupid. I couldn't kill his army.
Right.
It's because they're waiting for the wrong time.
Yeah, I understand. And that's another one of the difficulties is when do you engage? Because, I mean, I don't think I want to wait until he chooses to, or do I? I mean, it's like, it's just,
position.
It's really touch and go. Okay.
It is. It's actually, late game ZvP is extremely technical. And I like that. I would hate it if this was just like, oh, I'm max, look at your wrists, and like, okay, time to attack move.
Yeah.
If it were that way, this wouldn't be such a great game. It's very positional. And the Protoss is actually fighting for the same thing, but it's this like unspoken, unknown, not even agreement between the two races. Like the Protoss is like, I have these sentries, I like force fields, LOL. What they're actually doing is, I have these force fields, I'm creating the terrain that's beneficial to my army. So what the Zerg has to do is understand that and say, okay, I'm never going up a ramp, I'm never going down a ramp, and I'm never fighting in a tight corridor. I'm only going to fight this guy in the most open place available to me.
Okay.
Because that's where the force fields are least effective, that's where they have to cast the most force fields, and that's the best chance for me to get an arc.
All right. Well, let me ask you one more kind of side question.
Sure.
How many, this is for you as a Protoss player, how many observers are you going to have over your army at that late point in the game?
1.
Only 1. All right.
And that's standard, if that. There's a lot, I mean, any good Protoss you play, which is at 2,500 and beyond, you should have this. They should have an observer. If you're talking about focus firing it or anything like that, that's fantastic.
All right.
They will not have 2. Unless you've already shown this trick. Like, if you pick it off and do some kind of burrow jazz, then they absolutely will bring 2 or 3 with the next fight, unless they're terrible.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess let's jump in and see if we can get to a point in the game where we can actually talk about it.
Sure. Let me peruse real quick and see if I have anyone of your skill, so we can try that, unless you prefer just to play against me.
It's your call, Coach. My skill is going to be relatively low today, just given how I've been playing. It's rough. Oh, my God. I'm like 3-20 today.
3-20, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Alright, let me see if
it's heartbreaking.
This guy responds. Come on, Alejandra.
Oh, I know, Alish. We play together sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
It's like 2,900 some. This guy's out of control.
Is he? It makes me feel bad, because I beat him last time we played.
Well, it's different. The ladder's so weird. If you're not in a top division, it's like real easy to be outrageously high ranked. But he's not responding, so we'll go ahead and start off while we wait for him with you versus me.
All right. I'll try not to embarrass you too bad.
Oh, should have created a party with you.
And so you're going to be playing 3-gate expand, 6-gate pressure, back off when burrows in, more or less, or are you going to keep me on my toes?
Well, partially. I mean, if we play multiple games, I'm going to keep you on your toes. Hopefully we can have somebody else step in to do that. But if not, then yes, I'm going to rotate through different builds. I actually don't do the 6-gate pressure, though. I do a different variation.
5-gate Robo, sit back and wait?
Well, you'll just have to wait and see.
Well, fine.
If you know, then that's half the magic.
All right. I'm just fishing.
I really think there's two windows of opportunity for a Zerg to capitalize on the Protoss. That's when they're taking their third and they're kind of floating around with like 2 Colossus at the most.
Mm-hmm.
2 Colossus is not that fearsome. You don't necessarily need Corruptors at that point. You need a heavy Roach base, but you can get away with having like 9 or 10 Hydras.
Mm-hmm.
Not really that much more. That's something that like a player like Zelnick, Rhett, some of these guys, they actually hit that timing pretty well. But if you don't hit that window, and if you're just, for whatever reason, out of position to do it then I really feel like the strongest style is to fall back on that passive thing that I just described.
And just max.
Max, and then you're looking for the reload. So like while you're maxed, and it feels like a stalemate, what you want to do too is if the Protoss is being super frickin' turtly, then you got to get Nidus Worms or drop. You can't just like count on them to attack, because maybe they just take 6 bases with a bajillion cannons and never attack.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. He's back now.
Looks like he distracted you long enough for me to get my expansion down.
Oh, did you?
Thanks, Alish.
That's funny.
I've just been losing to the stupidest shit today.
I can tell you, looking at this, that I mean, did you get 2 gated?
No, not really, but I've lost to everything else. I lost to a fucking 4-gate pure zealot push, somehow.
Oh, those are good, man. I'm not even kidding you. Like if I see no gas like what you're doing right now, and I 4-gate,
mm-hmm.
I basically am thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna have like 2 stalkers and then 19 zealots if I can, because I know you're not gonna have roaches. I know you're not gonna have speedlings. So you're not going to be able to punish me, and I can punish you. And that's okay. That doesn't mean your build's bad. What it